Welcome to World of Marketing Podcast, a Foster Web Marketing production. Here's your host, Tom Foster.
Hey everybody, it's Tom Foster in the World of Marketing. And here I am with my good buddy, Kevin McManus. And hey, Kevin McManus, this is a twofer.
That's right. It's good to be back. I'm honored.
Last time we met with you was at Great Legal Marketing, right?
That's right. That's right. The good old days pre-pandemic when we were all together in Virginia.
We were actually allowed to, be in the same room and closer than 6 feet.
The little things.
A little bit. You know what? Like those things, took for granted.
Right.
And, now it's elbow bumping, if that.
Right.
Mask wearing. It's crazy. Speaking of crazy, well, we'll get to crazy.
Okay.
Here's Johnny.
I know you're in the heart of crazy because, well, first of all, just if people, let me just introduce Kevin McManus. You are in Kansas City.
That's right.
You are a personal injury attorney and a counselor.
He saw the world in a way no one could imagine.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
That's right.
A local politician. So you wear two hats. So we're going to talk about both of those things today. We're going to talk a little bit about the law practice that because you've had a couple of interesting things happen that I think other people are going to be interested to hear about. And then I want to talk a little bit about the political end because it's timely.
Yeah.
Okay, but first,
lots going on.
Yeah, lots going on. But first, let's talk about. I took some notes because I wrote down 0 to hero. If we had and I think that they'll do this for me in post edit. They'll put 0 to hero up here for me.
No response. No response, Captain. They are ignoring our hail. Repeat the hail. All channels. Still no response. Still no response, sir.
I hope. Or some cool graphic like that. But you weren't on the internet at all.
That's right. That's right.
You're a young guy. You're younger than me. So
yeah, when I came to you, yeah, that's right. Tom, you're looking good though. You're tan.
Oh, thanks,
I'm thinking you must have gone somewhere nice. Maybe one of those Maryland beaches or something.
I try to go to the beach as often as I can. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we're trying to get the hell out of DC to get back to the Rehoboth Beach.
I've been there. It's a beautiful place. Yeah.
Where the energy is good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they're doing social distancing on the beach. Everybody behaves there in Delaware.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. No,
Hey, by the way, our Democratic nominee, I guess I can say that, Joe Biden has a place in Rehoboth Beach.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
It's funny. Okay, so I got a little story about that real quick.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about it. So we just bought this place in Rehoboth, and I've been going there my whole life since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so is my wife. And we've been going there every summer religiously since I was a kid. My cousins, my aunt and uncle had a place down there, and I went there every summer that I can remember. And I just thought that's what people did. I just thought that's how it was until I grew up and a hard, cold reality hit. But anyway, I was there. We just bought the house in September last year, or October, I think. And we were there over the winter, going there, fixing it up. And we're downtown Rehoboth. And if you've never been there, it's a very quaint beach town with I think it's a 2-mile boardwalk or 1 mile boardwalk.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I've been there before.
Oh, you have? Oh, good.
Yeah.
So it's got on Rehoboth Avenue, just the shops, and they haven't changed much. And there's we went to this bookstore called Browse About Books, and it was freezing cold.
Yeah.
Freezing cold. It was and I have like on 8,000 layers, and I'm freezing to death. And I get we run in, but get back in the car, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so cold out. And I'm like, everybody get in the car, and I look up, and there's this dude, and an older guy, and he's got like this mock turtleneck. That's it.
Right.
And I'm like, white hair, and he's a good looking guy. I'm like, well, that's a good looking old dude. That's all he's got on. I'm like freezing to death with my parka and everything else. I got like an Eskimo outfit on. And this guy's got nothing on. He walks out, and I'm like, wow, that guy's good looking. He looks just like Joe Biden. That's fucking Joe Biden.
And to get hot, I got hairy legs.
It was Joe Biden. And
that's awesome.
And he's parked right next to us in his Suburban that he is driving. And what was funny was that my son's window in the back seat was open, and he heard me exclaim, "That's effing Joe Biden." And he looks over, of course.
I'm sure that's happened before.
Looks
you know,
in and, goes,
yeah.
like, "You go, Joe."
Yeah, that's funny. I was expecting you to say he was eating ice cream or something.
No.
That seems to be the thing he's always doing, when he's walking in a place like Rehoboth. But
that's true. Well, what's funny too is in Browse About Books, they have like these funny like coffee mugs with Joe Biden and I mean, and Rehoboth Beach is known, it's got a thriving gay community and stuff like that. So there's like a coloring book of Joe Biden all buff and stuff like that up there. But what was funny is I went into the bookstore later, and I was telling the story of this meeting to the bookstore employee staff when we were checking out, and they got this cups, and I was like, wow, there's not very many. They must be selling out. And they're like, oh yeah. He's in here all the time. Like it's no big deal that Joe Biden comes in there.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Checking on his inventory of coffee.
right. Maybe he's the supplier. Who knows?
I know he's checking his merch. Anyway, got a beautiful house. Funny. Beautiful house in Rehoboth.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's called Beau's Gift, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. We just distracted ourselves from
right. No, that's okay. It's way more interesting than me.
Hardly. Go back to it. 0 to hero. So you came on board, you had nothing.
Yeah. So, I mean, even to go before then, I mean, I was working. So I graduated law school, worked for a large firm, a national firm based here in Kansas City. I was born and raised here. So I went away for law school, went away for undergrad, had been away for like 10 years. Actually, I lived in DC for 2 years and worked for a public policy research group, which is why I went to spend some time in Rehoboth and other places. Oh. And anyway, loved DC, but wanted to come back home. And so I took a job with a larger firm. Good experience for a couple of years, but actually when I was in DC, had worked and volunteered on campaigns and that sort of thing, and kind of got bit by the bug. Because when I went there, I thought maybe I'd be an academic or something, because I was working kind of at an academic place and didn't like it at all. Wanted to be more grounded in reality and helping people. And so into the kind of the next step of the story for me was I actually left the large firm and ran for the Missouri House of Representatives and served in Jefferson City, was elected 10 years ago. Actually, this August, I was thinking about it. It's weird. That was kind of my foray into politics, was a very grassroots, entry into an open seat in the legislature. Served there for 5 years. Ended up getting, got married, had kids, wanted to be more coming here and in Kansas City and not having to commute and the legislature, every couple of days. So ended up running for the city council. Been keeping my practice throughout this whole process, working for other firms. I worked for a medium-sized firm while I was in the legislature. Transition when I got elected to the city council, I had more autonomy because I'm here. So that's when I kind of branched off and did my own thing, using actually some buddies of mine who have been great partners and allowing me to share kind of overhead staff, because when I first met you, I said, I'm really interested in two things, Tom. I'm interested in marketing, figuring out how to get clients, and then doing really good legal work. But since I'm on the city council, I don't have time to manage, all that, the headaches of managing a firm. I want to focus on those two things first. So the kind of setup that I have right now allows me to do that. It kind of takes away that piece of it, because I've got a whole nother job with staff that, at City Hall. So some people are like, how do you do all this? And I guess the answer is it's just a lot of time and it's delegation. You can't do everything. So I've got good staff, both in the law side and on the city side to help.
Yeah. I mean, you just said like, no time. Now that's okay. I want everybody to hear that, because you said you have no time, but yet you seem to be able to add 30 articles a month on average to your website.
Yeah,
So,
and I have, and I missed and all that. I have you guys. I have.
Yeah, but we're not doing that.
You're not doing that, but you're giving me the platform to do it, and then sure. I get help. Is the bottom line.
Well, the help you get is me telling you to do it every month,
right?
And maybe like
coaching.
maybe knowing that you're going to get on the call with me, and I'm going to look at that. And
fear is a motivator. There's the fear of Tom.
So, but that's the point I wanted to make, is that, here you are, you're a solo practitioner, and there's a lot of people watching this and listening to this that are solo practitioners, just like you, that, making this excuse that they don't have time to, update their website. But here you basically have 3 jobs, maybe 4. If you're a dad, got two young children, right?
Right.
You are
still married.
Yes. You're a councilman.
Happily. Yes.
And you have your own firm, and you're also of counsel at this other firm. And get referred cases, and you have to have some participation in that firm for them to recognize you there. So you're a busy dude, but yet you're still able to utilize DSS and the tools of DSS.
Right.
And you immediately took advantage of it and starting adding content.
Right.
And by the way, everybody, as a result of this, he went from, that's why I said 0 to hero, because he was pretty much on page 1 for personal injury search terms in Kansas City quickly. Quickly. And so if people are like, and by the way, not through pay-per-click.
Yeah, I actually haven't done any of that. I will. Yeah. And it's, we can talk a little bit about that. I will say, I don't want this to be all about me, because honestly, well, I guess I'm here, but the bottom line is, I think solo practitioner is kind of a misnomer. If you are a solo practitioner, you can get help. Like, you can have virtual assistants. I have virtual assistants. I share a paralegal. I have overflow. I have referral partners who, when I get cases that I can't, I'm very selective about what kind of cases I take. And if I need help, I have people who can help me. And so that would be my message to anybody who's out there thinking of themselves as a solo, is stop thinking of yourself as a solo. You're a business owner, and there are people out there who can help you do what you need to do. You just need to find them.
Good
you
point.
guys have been great partners in that.
Oh, well, thanks for saying that. Well, you've been a great partner too. I mean, like, that's what it takes, a willing, that's what we're set up for, is guys just like you, guys and gals, lawyers just like you, that are willing to do it.
Yeah.
So you did wonderfully by adding content. It was what, maybe 2 years, year or 2?
I think it's been 2 years. Yeah. This summer. Yeah.
But then, when was it? It was a few months ago. You got.
Oh, yeah. And in spring, there was a strange mirror site set up.
You got hacked.
Yeah.
Let's just call it hacked.
Yeah.
And not hacked in terms of like they didn't get into your site, but because you were doing so well, what did they do? They just mirrored your site. They mirrored your content. They started duplicating everything. And fortunately, you caught it, right?
I did, and I called you guys.
Yeah,
and we got to figure it out.
We got to figure it out, and we helped you reverse. And it didn't take that long to undo the damage.
No, it really didn't.
'Cause we
About a
caught
month. Yeah, you catch it, the site gets taken down, and then Google, of course, is much quicker to drop somebody than to let them rise, right? I mean, so it takes time to regain that trust, right? But I think that's another positive about working with something like a shop like you guys, because if you have a problem, and this was like on a Friday afternoon, and I think I was calling and text or emailing Jamie, and I mean, they were instant in getting a response and really helping me get through that. So, because you just don't. I'm not a web guy. I don't want to be a web guy. Again, it kind of goes back to what I said earlier.
Oh my God! Thank you for saying that. That's like me. I don't want to be a lawyer.
Right.
Okay. So yes, let's stay in our swim lanes, right? You're much better at that than I am. And so but you are a great content writer. And so you can write the content, and, when you become too busy for that, which you probably will be, somebody else can write the content for you. We can certainly handle writing the content for you, because that content is the fuel. All right. So you went through that, and you handled that great. You didn't panic. You didn't start blaming like a lot of people do, and the sky's falling. You just were like, oh
no. And here's the other thing about that is, look, if most of your business is coming from one place, that's probably not a good thing. And that's not the situation. That's not the situation I'm in. So, it's not like going to be the end of the world for me if something like that happens. And to be honest, you and I have talked about this before. I actually don't. I'm happy to rank, for certain things, and that's great. But at the end of the day, I don't see that as driving substantial quality cases that I think a lot of people may believe. And maybe I'm not even supposed to say this on your podcast, because maybe this undermines everything that
No, you are supposed to
web
say
companies. but that might be the dirty secret here. I mean, it's just it is not the end all be all that I think a lot of people think. And I see there's big dogs in my market who probably spend just insane amounts of money trying to chase after those things that I'm not convinced the ROI is there or what people think it is.
You're 100% right. It's not that it's not important. I mean,
no, it's important for visibility or,
and
maybe
it's not that
your
you're
brand.
Not going to get something from that, because
and occasionally there might be a good case, and it pays off. But
focusing all of your resources and efforts on Kansas City personal injury attorney,
that's
ignoring everything else is just stupid.
One of the things I think we should talk about is just community marketing. And that's what I think. I mean, I don't do that on purpose. It just happens to me that people say, hey, I know you, I guess they like me, or they respect me, or they know of me for some reason. And you end up getting cases that way very organically, not through ranking, but just through being visible and working in the community, doing something you care about, you authentically care about, and so to me, that's been a much more rewarding way to get cases. And frankly, I think they're usually better cases overall,
So you said that's really important what you said, because the number one rule in marketing is that people buy from people they like.
Right.
You don't buy things from people you don't like or don't feel comfortable with or don't trust. And, Google is just doing blind searches on Google.
Right.
If you don't know something, if you don't know the company or the person that you need a product or service from, you're going to do you're going to go in there untrusting and asking a lot of questions. And you're just going to go in there with doubt, as we do.
Right. And there's a lot more work on than the attorney to
convince them.
Right.
And there's just
more selling
argument about cost and price and blah, blah,
right.
blah, blah, blah. But just like what you said, if somebody comes, it's funny. I'll just say this. Connie Gray, who is my assistant, she even says, she calls you about anybody. Like, she loves you so much that she'll call you about anything that she has going on. I think she has, right?
Yeah.
Personally, because she is
right.
in Kansas City. But I mean, that says a lot. I mean, Connie knows a lot of attorneys, but that's just just our experience in working with you. That's how she feels about you. And that's that's kind of a lesson for everybody that's listening. I mean, you're a politician, a local politician, but you're also a very likable person. And you get out there, and I think that it's through that and just being seen out there, and 100% the community efforts. Now let's talk about this recent case that you got, if we can. Do you mind?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Can you tell, because I thought that you did a great job and you explained it to me, how all the pieces worked together.
Yeah.
So instead of me trying to retell it, could you tell it again?
Yeah. No problem. So you said earlier, your personal injury, and that is where the bulk of my work is. I have over time, when I first started out, it was more of a, look, I'll take a case, right, and look at it no matter what, and slowly, not that slowly, very quickly, as soon as possible, stop doing that, because I'm a big believer in niching down and becoming an expert subject matter, and it's better for your business, it's better for the clients. But one of the areas that has stayed with me through all that is ERISA, disability and life insurance cases, because frankly, there's just a huge need in the region I'm in, and I'm in 2 states. But that practice could be nationwide, and it is for some people, because it's a federal law. And that need is always just seems to be there, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to help people in those types of cases, because there's just not a lot of lawyers doing it. And so I had gotten cases and been handling cases, but never really marketed for them. They just kind of came, like we were talking about, organically through relationships or through people referring to people. But, over time have updated my website to include that practice area, included articles. I think when the pandemic started, published a book, so that's relatively recent, right? Like March of this year, put that online as an offer. And wasn't too long after that actually I got I think I was telling you probably the last coaching call we had an inquiry through the web of a gentleman who had a very large long-term disability policy that had been denied, and he's relatively young, and he was a high wage earner. It checks a lot of boxes of like an opportunity that you might be able to really help somebody recover a pretty substantial amount of money. And what was interesting, though, was when I asked him, how did you find me? It wasn't longtermdisabilitylawyer.com, that he's searching. He was doing searches generically about the subject matter, long tail searches. And we had published a lot of long tail, articles trying to help people. Downloads the book, right? Starts reading that, finds out who I am, checks me out on like LinkedIn. I mean, he's telling me all these things about how he finds me. And it was so informative. He's an awesome guy for a lot of reasons, but it was so informative to me to just kind of get inside someone's mind and really understand. I mean, he was like, he knew what high school I went to. He knew.
He checked you out.
He did. And so
this is the point. This is the point of what that we are making all the time about what consumers are doing when they're with these the smart ones.
Right.
The like that, what you just said, he's a high earner, he's an intelligent man, and he wants to get a good lawyer. He's doing his research.
Right. And he's looking for references, right? Yep. And he's trying to understand kind of your background and how you look at cases, even before you talk to him. And then, so when I talked to him, I think I told you, there was no selling in that phone call. It was actually us talking about, we did talk about high school football, which was kind of funny, you know, because he went to a rival high school of mine or whatever. So we were kind of talking about that, but it was more of a kind of just a fun conversation that turned serious, obviously, when we got to his legal issue. And then at the end of it, he's like, send me your agreement. And I think I sent it to him because the conversation went on for like an hour, and it wasn't like a fully legal conversation for that hour. It was a lot of just personal talk. But at the end of it, I mean, it was within minutes, it was signed, and there was no pressure on my side, and there was no selling. It was just, this is what we do, and I think we can help you. And it's so far, it's been great. I think we jumped on his case. He had actually tried to handle it on his own for about a year, which could be a disaster for somebody in that field. But we were able to position it so he could have a second bite and submit a second appeal. And now, depending on what happens, it could end up in litigation, but I'm confident he's going to get what he needs out of this.
It's a big case.
It is. And we're going to get him a result that he's going to be happy with. But it is,
wasn't it like a late night
yes
conversation or something?
I think I made myself available to him. I think it was like 6 or something at night, because he was, I don't know if I was in a meeting or whatnot, and I just wanted to get connected. But we talked for like an hour until 7. I didn't send him the contract till 10, and he signed it within minutes online. So never actually met him, by the way. And that's the other thing. A lot of folks are probably dealing with, how do I sign up clients in a pandemic? It's obviously very possible. But
what did you use, DocuSign or something?
Yeah.
See?
But I'm a member of Great Legal Marketing too, and not to give them a plug on your show, but I mean, Ben talks.
No,
about
it's fine. Give him a plug. Ben's my buddy. I was
he
about
talks-
to say that you went to the ERISA class at
I
Great
did.
Legal Marketing, and that's
I had already, huge help. I mean, I had already been doing these cases, but to go to that and see how they're doing them was awesome. And he talks about this a lot in marketing. He talks about trust clues, and just there's certain things you can do to let people know that they can trust you. And we have to embed those in our marketing, whether it's a third-party testimonial, whether it's, making yourself out, you're a big fan of like putting personal details in your bio, right?
Yeah.
I think when you were looking at my website, you're like, where's your picture of your family? I mean,
there's
things, there are things you can do that are very simple that
you
people
just
want
said
to know.
high school, where you went to high school. And
Right.
he was like, you went to a rival high school. So you guys started, probably shit talking each other about it.
That's right.
And like that just creates more of a relationship. And that's what you want to do. And I know that you're a lawyer, and lawyers have this kind of persona, or a lot of them think that they have to have this persona of being so professional and like
Right.
they have to hide their personal life in it. Like most bios read like their CV, and it's like all this where they went to school and all their accolades.
Right.
And it's like meaningless to normal people. Meaningless. We don't know what that shit means. But if you tell us, you're in the Marine Corps and, you play flute or guitar or the drums, and you went to this high school and you're, a quarterback, or, you love the Dallas Cowboys, which would be bad, but, or the Chiefs, which would be good.
Right.
Like those kinds of things, you get connection. I can't tell you how many people have signed on with us simply because I'm a former jarhead, and and they came.
Yeah,
in
that's cool.
And just like what you were saying. I mean, and so one of the easiest things to do to improve your marketing is just what you said: is get personal in your bio, because they are looking at that. If you look. If everybody looks at,
and that's not about keywords. I think I remember when our first conversation, you're like, get keywords out of your bio. That's not really what.
No
this
keywords.
This is for a human being.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so first, listen, I'm not saying that keywords aren't important, like we said in the beginning, but they're not more important than your brand. Your brand which is your name, is the most important. Because if you've been practicing law more than a day and have had more than one case, then people will talk about it, because that's the referral business. And there's no better way in a lawyer world than referrals. And almost everybody I talk to, and I'll argue and debate this with anybody, when it comes right down to it, if they are truly honest with themselves and they go back and look, all of their best cases, top cases, least troublesome cases, most profitable cases come from referrals. So I get it. I get being on Google. Obviously, that's what we do. But that comes after brand. That comes after making sure that your website is set up to capture brand. So that when people out on the golf course, hey, who's that lawyer that helped you with that ERISA disability? You know, that guy would be like Kevin McManus. He was awesome, even though he went to that.
Right. And that's how that conversation was.
Right. And so that goes, oh man, I'm going to call it that dude, you know? Anyway, so then he ain't going to call you right away. What's he going to do? Clickety-click, go to Google and type in Kevin. Same thing will happen again. And then that person will find connections to you. But that's what happens over and over again. That's why when you look at analytics, it's always homepage and bio pages that are in the top 10. That has nothing to do with SEO. That's just regular search.
People want to know who they're working with.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
And that's great. And that's easy, by the way.
Yeah.
And doesn't cost much, except your time fleshing out your bio, images, pictures. I mean, like, it depends on how comfortable you are putting up pictures of your family and stuff like that. I mean, like, I get it if you're a criminal lawyer and you're dealing with baddies and stuff like that, if you don't want to do that. But, you know, for a guy like you, you know, I think that it's perfectly appropriate. But it's whatever your comfort level is.
Right.
But yes. And that's just an example of all the pieces working together.
Right. And I didn't mention, it wasn't immediate. I mean, he did his research for at least a week. We had him on it. Once you downloaded
campaign too. He got a couple of emails from you.
Right. So there's big, you know, a good case is not going to just usually show up on your doorstep. I believe. I think those consumers are going to think about things, you know, carefully before making decisions.
It happens.
So, yeah,
sure.
it occasionally will happen. And it's happened to me, but
Bluebirds, that's in sales, we call those bluebirds, where they fly through the window. Where, like, sales guys are always like, yeah, that was a great deal. I don't know how it happened. But, you know, that doesn't, you don't want to count on them.
Right.
You gotta work for those deals. And you had put in place and seeded many things so that case could come into you when it did. So you had planted the seeds in advance through your content, the offer. Obviously, you invested and went to the great legal marketing boot camp on ERISA and learned all those other things to do, right? I mean, before, because Ben offers those classes, they offer a ton of training on. So, I mean, I recommend Great Legal, obviously. I mean, Ben Glass is a good friend of mine. Charlie Mann, they put on great events and doing it virtually now. And they're doing a great job there. So if you're wanting to know, anybody listening, if you want to know all the steps outside of the website, because that's what we do, but they're a great resource. But all right, well, you got your offer and your follow-up campaign, and obviously which, I mean, you're the key part of it, which is, you know, your ability to.
You got it. Yeah. And then you've got to be able to do the work. Obviously, that's you've got to get the result for the client. And
you also said another thing that was important about testimonials, and that's another key ingredient to everything is what other people say about you. So when we're looking for a product or a service, I don't care if we go to Amazon or we go anywhere else, what do? As consumers, well, what do other people think? You know, if we're like looking for a light bulb or I don't give a shit what it is, a guitar. When I bought here's a brand new guitar I just got.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Right? I checked the reviews. What do other people say about it? I didn't buy it until I read what other people say about it. Same with my ES back there. Oh, sorry, over there. No, over there. All right there. What do other people say about it before I bought it? You know, I looked at that stuff. That's what we do. So you always want to have the testimonials connected to your marketing. That's really important. Success stories are your examples that you have done this before. And so I think that when we spoke on our last coaching call, I asked you to start journaling this so that you could tell the story from the beginning, like how he came to you, because you want to talk about this. You know, Frank, that's not his name, but I don't think at least Frank came and, you know, this is what he had done. And this is what we went through. And this was the outcome. And that's content. And you also said another very important thing that a lot of people don't understand, which is long tail. So long tail is those super long keyword searches that people type in. Keywords, or what I call vanity keywords, are like the short ones, like Kansas City personal injury attorney, or I guess in this case it would be like ERISA disability.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I mean, he was clear when I talked to him. He's like, I was searching to solve my problem, you know, and that's, you know, that's what long tail is to me is that's writing articles.
Yeah. They continue to go down. And when you do that, we do this ourselves when we're like, nope, that's not really getting me. That's just getting me the surface stuff. When I'm doing my research and the, you know, important subjects that I'm looking for, I never find what I'm looking for on that base level. You have to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Because here's the thing, is that Google on that level is trying to sell you AdWords.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't want you to go much deeper. And so when you see that AdWords thing, they are trying to keep you on this very base. Don't go much further because this is where we make all our money, man.
Right.
You know? But long tail, they don't do AdWords in long tail. That's where you get to organic. And that's where the intelligent people search. And that's where the people with money do the searches for.
Well, I mean, as a lawyer, I think we all realize that, look, legal problems are complex. And the complexity means there's nuance. And when there's nuance, it's not as simple as 3 words. It's just not. The problems are deeper than that. And so people, when they're looking at their specific problem, that's why when I'm writing articles, I'm always, you know, we talk about this a lot. It's like, think about what questions, specific questions clients are asking and answer those specific questions. And the specific questions are very different than what you might just assume, you know, on the surface, someone's just typing, you know, 3 words, you know, car accident lawyer. Yeah. It's not,
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. See,
like, yeah. It's much deeper. It's how do I get, you know, what kind of coverage in my car, you know, I have this specific injury, you know, this part of my wrist is hurting. I mean, really specific things that I think, you know, if you mine those opportunities, people are going to find you. People are going to, because you're going to be helping them. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to.
When your perfect client's asking you questions and you're like, wow, that's a good one, you need to write it down and add it to your website. Like I haven't heard that one before. Or even if it's like, oh gosh, you know, I'm answering this one again. if it's a common question that a lot of your perfect clients are asking, you need to add it to your website. All right. We need to move on because I know you got to go. Because you know what? You got to go to a council meeting or something downtown. That's what I wanted to talk about, because that's the other part of your life, is that you're a councilman, right? In Kansas City.
Yep.
And tell me specifically what that means.
So there's 12 of us that represent the city. The city, Kansas City is an MSA, is 2 million people. The city of Kansas City is the largest city in the state of Missouri. So we're just in Missouri. There's, the broader region goes across state lines. City's in 4 counties. I represent a part of it. I'm in my second term. I'm actually appointed. So we have a mayor, and then we have a council, and then we have a city manager. And I was appointed by our current mayor to be mayor pro tem, which you and I have joked about, but it basically just means temporary, so if he's out of town, which actually hasn't happened that much lately because of pandemic. I fill in that role, but, it's been interesting. I've been doing public service now for 10 years, and every year it seems to get a little bit more, I don't want to use the word crazy, but just difficult, bigger problems. And I think, I was thinking about this last night, we're really at a point now where I've never seen the level of crisis that we're at. I mean, in different areas, you've got obviously in the news, the pandemic, and a largely local response because we haven't really had a federal response. Then you also have the economic fallout from that. So we're dealing with that in our budget. We have continued increase in violent crime married with this issue that it's not new, it's just never gone away. It's just becoming more and more obvious to people, which is the Black Lives Matter movement, the relationship between police and people of color. So those 3 things have dominated our agenda. It wasn't what any of us ran for 4 years ago. I mean, this wasn't, no one, I wouldn't say nobody, but I don't think anybody was thinking in 2016, hey, this pandemic is going to be a big issue,
No one was thinking about any of this.
So it's been interesting.
Yeah. So tell us about that. I mean, isn't it, aren't you getting like federal troops sent your way right now, or isn't that what's imminent? I think I read something just about that recently.
Yeah, you've probably seen protests in Portland or elsewhere.
Yeah.
We've had protests as part of the Black Lives Movement. We haven't had protests because of I should say this carefully. We've had some protests, but nothing as significant as Portland right now. But we do have federal troops that are federal agencies. I say troops. I haven't seen them, but they have, been identified Kansas City as a place to come. In fact, I think yesterday the president was talking about Operation Legend, and Legend was
that's what I was going to say. Operation Legend.
Yeah. It was a really sad story about a young child who was shot while sleeping in Kansas City. Yeah. And unfortunately, I wish I could tell you that that's something that's never happened before. It has happened in Kansas City before. It's happened in lots of major cities. So there's no question. I think you and I were talking before this, that we need to address, violent homicides, violent crime, proliferation, frankly, of more firearms. And I think if you talk to our police that they've ever seen before in our city, we're in a very red state. So our laws on guns are really, there are none. But it's really a matter of how do we do it? And maybe to bring it back to marketing is like, what part of communication, right? What part does that play in all this? And I think it plays a big part. I think the fact that we haven't had a lot of federal communication locally is really why people are upset about this. It's not because they're upset because someone's trying to help from the federal government. I think what they're upset about is there hasn't been any dialogue between the local community and the federal government about how they're going to do this. And so, and that's really, I think, a symptom of a much larger problem just in politics, right? I mean,
that's a problem everybody's having right now.
That's, if we could, you've got partisanship, you've got, I think people who, we were talking about nuance earlier, who don't want to talk about, nuance and policy and compromise anymore. They don't want to talk about finding a way to move to the middle and move forward. But all that really comes down to is just communication. I mean, if you can sit with a person in person and talk through issues, it's much easier to come to a resolution. And to me, that's one of the most frustrating things. But it's also why I wanted to run at the local level, because I believe that actually the local level is where we can do that best, because it's frankly just easiest. It's a smaller pool of people that we're representing, right? And so I'm more accessible than, somebody at the state or federal level. People know I have people showing up at my house, if their trash doesn't get picked up, Tom. So, you bet they know my cell phone if there's a problem. That's only happened once. But my point is that doesn't happen to your U.S. senator. It doesn't happen, and maybe it shouldn't. I guess the bottom line is, it's about, I think, increasing the opportunity for citizens to communicate with the people who represent them, and having that ability to have a dialogue and not just be a one-way Twitter battle.
Well, I totally agree with you on many of the points that you just made, all of them actually. I think that it starts at the local level. Of course it does. And you do have to be able to communicate, and whether you agree or not.
Right.
You do have to get to, and you have to compromise, and it can't be one way or the other. It can't swing all the way on one side or the other. That's just not the way it works ever. And one way will always lose, and they will never be happy, and then they're going to come back in a revenge standpoint, and then the other, and so we've got to figure out a way. And I don't know how this is possible today, because no signs point to this happening.
Right.
Of compromise. We have so much name calling now. We have so much just unkindness, and
right.
You're not going to get anywhere with this. We're not going to, now we've got, people that were above it are now below it. Obviously, and I don't want to get, we're talking politics. I don't want to get political here.
Right.
But we don't need to do it this way.
No.
We're not going to get anywhere. We haven't gotten anywhere doing it this way. This sending troops and that have no designation, sending troops with designation, it doesn't even matter, and throwing people in unmarked minivans for no reason is preposterous. I mean, it's unheard of. I can't even believe it's happening in America. And I think that's what's blowing people's minds.
Right.
It would be way different if these people were actually, I get it if they were like blowing shit up and doing stuff. You know what I mean? If they were actually,
well, and here's the thing. We coordinate with FBI. We coordinate with ATF. If there's a federal crime, local law enforcement is coordinating with federal law enforcement, and that it should be encouraged. And I think that's that's an important part of law enforcement. And we get grants from the Department of Justice. We do that all the time. We're voting on some later today. The issue is it's like it's the unknown. It's just like anything in life. If you don't know what's happening, people assume the worst. And I think that's what's happening here, with this particular issue. But I just go back to, I'm always trying to find the hopeful, positive side of any problem. And, we're struggling with, just like many communities, with the pandemic too, and the impact on the economy and the health issues. And, I think the one thing that I've seen come out of this is, which I don't know it's gotten full circle yet, but I'm hopeful it will, is that people realize that, look, we're all connected. This isn't a Virginia problem. This isn't even a U.S. problem. It's a worldwide
problem.
And the only way we're gonna, actually solve it.
China. No.
Right.
That
No, the only way you're going to solve it is to address it worldwide, and
yeah,
in the end,
collectively,
I would collectively.
all of us together. I mean, it's a human contagion. That's. I mean, and whether, well, yes, it's got to be resolved together as one. And I don't. Well, I'm an optimistic guy. I am hopeful. And these past few days, I guess, I'm seeing signs of hopefully things changing for the better. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
But I am very thankful that there's guys like you out there, for real. Good guys
Thanks.
out there fighting the fight, and that are willing to step up for the community. I'm not in Kansas City, but if I was, I'd vote for you again.
Well,
And so
when planes start flying, come over and we'll get you some barbecue.
Right. There you go. And when you're ready to run for president, I'll build your website and help you out.
Okay, that's awesome.
Okay.
I appreciate that, man.
And I think that you need to run to a meeting, don't you?
Yeah, I've got another meeting to get to, but this has been fun.
Normally you'd have like a Rastafarian t-shirt on. And, right. But your hair would be normally a mess, but now, you're all spruced up for your council meeting.
Yeah. I've got my mask over here. I can't wait to put that on.
Oh, there you go. That boy. All right, Kevin. Well, hey, man.
All right.
Hey,
It's been fun.
Thanks for joining my podcast again.
Yeah.
We will talk soon on our coaching call, but you keep it up. All right. You're doing a great
Thanks,
job.
Tom.
I really appreciate it. And the people of Kansas City appreciate you and all your good work and unselfish work. And so thank you so much for what you're doing, and keep doing it. Okay, buddy?
Thanks, Tom. Sounds good, man. Hey, stay healthy and safe over there in Virginia.
All right.
All right. Or Delaware, wherever you are.
Yeah, exactly. All right, buddy.
All right. See ya.
All right, everybody. Tom Foster and Kevin McManus on the World of Marketing. Oh, he's already gone.
Unable to establish contact.
All right. We'll see you soon, everybody. Thank you so much.